Hello everyone, this is Kimberly. Welcome to my Nook. Today we're going to do part 3 of our ephemera kit holder and storage for the off-season. This will be our final video on this project. I all but finished it. I mean literally, it's like 99% done, but I left one thing to show you. And it was so late, I wasn't going to make a video, so I ended up just finishing it yesterday. So I think a lot of you, can figure out what to do and make it into what you want now that you have the initial idea, the initial vision. If not, please don't hesitate to ask me any questions. There are no dumb questions, and there might be newbies out there or people who are, speaking a different language. So please contact me if you at all are confused about something. I'm more than happy to help. I think it's a really great project, and I love how it turned out. So this is my cover, and I just really am very, very happy with it. So big. It's 11.5 by 9. So it's hard to even fit into this space I have because the camera's not above me, it's in front of me. So this is my burlap spine, and I did put a spine in there with cardboard that I showed you last time. And I did end up putting in the elastic, and I hid the outer piece underneath the burlap, so that I could have just one string of elastic. Since it isn't holding that many pages, I felt that it was just better to have it on the outside, but I didn't want it to show. And this is the back. There is no paper clip. That's holding in the one piece that I will glue in with you. And this is the ribbon. This is where the metal piece used to go through the hanging folder. And then it opens up. And this is my elastic. And I made a pocket, stitched it closed rather than glue it. And I figure it can hold my tags and maybe some other things that are in process that are not ready to be utilized. And then these are the additional papers that I printed out. Some are already half papers anyway. I don't know why when I come on here my voice gets so low. It's so weird because I don't normally talk in a monotone unless I'm leading a meditation. So I don't know why I can't get it to be normal when I'm talking in this video. Hello. It's so weird. Alright, so anyway, this is handy, and because I put the cardboard underneath the eyelet, it doesn't close with a hard close. So as a consequence, the papers are not folding to a hard crease. So that's ideal. So I think the way to avoid having the papers close to a hard close is by adding the spine. Even if you didn't put in the elastic, just adding the spine and laying them in there will give you ample room. So that was a nice discovery. And then we have the two sides. So this was the mailer that I got that was all white around the edges, and I glued it down completely with tape. I only use tape, double-sided tape, to put any of these items down. Oh, I just need to talk in my normal voice. It's so weird. Talking to nobody puts me into a different range. When I'm talking to somebody that I see on the screen, because I do work virtually, I don't talk in this tone unless we're doing meditation. It's so weird. It's hard to talk in this tone for a whole half hour or an hour. I have to see one of your faces on there, I guess. This is so bizarre that I'm telling you this. But I really want to talk in my normal tone of voice, so I am going to try to uplift it. I think I'll have a drink of water and see if I can get my voice back. Hello, hello. I don't sound like I'm much higher, but maybe a little bit. It feels like it's a little bit higher. Okay, let's try it again. So this tag that I made the other day from my copies, which I'm going to show you in a few, also fits in this same CD holder that I'm putting in my longer oblong tags. So that was handy, and I like because it has lace and the cutout from the stamp that it would, stand up there. And then these papers, they come out really easy. What I was going to tell you, and it fits exactly 1/2 of a page, a 5x7. It's a 5x7 holder. So I use double tape to tape it down to the side and tape it down to the bottom. But I left this edge up, and that helps keep the papers up, and it also helps when it folds to not go right into the groove, so that there's room, because it's right to the edge. As you might have heard me explain in part 2, is that this piece was the same width as the cover, so it's right to the edge. I actually backed the envelope with more of this same paper, just in case it went over, but it doesn't, so I'm okay. And I backed the inside of this part also, but not this part. I figure it's so high, I'm never going to see that white part. I'll just put my hand in. And then the CD holder, if you would just snip off the lip, then I put washi on it to give it more strength, and then I left it open. I found it pretty hard to tuck it underneath. It just went inside, so really what was the point? So since I used a cute washi, I thought I'll just leave it out. And this was a bag with another small bag inside. So until I determine that I want to put it somewhere else, I'll just keep it here. And again, very handy. Oh, you can probably see if I take these out where the tape is. Do you see where the tape is? No, you can't really see it because it's crystal clear. And that's kind of my point, is that the tape doesn't show, unlike glue. There, with a glare, you can see the tape a little bit. So my medium tiny pieces are what go in this bag, and then my super tiny pieces are going in this bag. So for now, that works out well for me. And as I was working on my project, I'll show you in a minute, I just took out the items, took out the bag, and just laid it out next to me. And on this side, we have the post office envelope, glassine. Sometimes I put the postal side on the outside, depending on the theme, but for here I went with the white. And I put an old journaling card that I made. It's kind of cute with the bird looking at the little, it's a sticker of a snow globe. Can you tell? So cute. And then these are the bigger oblong pieces that came in the kit by Chapter 1 Papers. Which, by the way, there's a 20% discount from their store for a month till November, whenever my part 1 came out, Friday, so like November 11th. yeah, so until December 11th, you can get 20% off. The code is capital letters JBNOV 22. And they're on Etsy. And the links to the kits are also in Part 1's description box. This is another tag that I made using printable copies of my own collaging that I did on the cover. And this was taken from a Xerox that I made, or a printable snapshot, before I put on the final pieces. So I'm going to show you the different layers when we get done with this. But I wanted you to see the inside. So this is a nice big envelope. It's at least 7 inches wide, I'd say, or 6.5, and probably 5 tall. And then we have this guy for the tags that I didn't even show you last time. They're really, really pretty. I also decorated because the theme was so clearly going to remain Christmas. I put some decorative items in the background, and I thought it was a prettier layout that way. So pretty. And I'm using the paper clip until the paper gets used to being down. From the post office, it was used to being up. So I'm training it. It's like the brain. You train it. Train it to do what you want it to do. Okay. And then this was the one that I left undone so that I could show you how I tape it in. So my tapes, well, this one that I had on hand is what, 1/2 inch wide maybe? Yeah, about 1/2 inch wide. I started at the bottom and then I finish it not at the top. All right, because I want it to be able to come up for the bigger part of my hand to be able to get in there. All right, and then I'm lining it up with the very bottom of this bag. It's just arbitrary. Could have put them all the way to the top, but I'm lining it up to the bottom of that bag, and that way when this opens up, it just kind of goes over the bottom, and there's not a lot of overlap. So I thought I would put this bag on while I had you here. You know how we all love to take these tapes off. Just love it. So I could have done a whole hour of you watching me take the tapes off, but I decided to spare you, and I worked on it last night into the Hallmark movie Christmas stuff that was going on. Oh my God. Some years I like Hallmark movies, and some years I just can't stand them. And I don't know what the difference is really, but after a little while, it's all repeats anyway, so I'm kind of watching them now. And then come around Christmas, when you might think about watching them, I'll be having seen them probably all that I want to see. So I will probably not watch them then. Alright, so now getting this straight before you actually tape it down is always the tricky part. And usually I'm off. I usually am bending to one direction or another. But the idea is that the tapes are put in such a way that they don't go to the edge. They don't go to the edge. So this part rounds up. So if you have a whole bunch of ephemera to put in there, there won't be any problem. It can really build itself out this way. And then your hand can go in to get them. They pretty much all come in one scoop. Not a problemo. So I'm always reminded of what I have. I have a chance to shop in my own stash. And sometimes I pull one of these out from a kit I haven't seen in a long time. And when I take it out, I'm surprised. I forget some of the cool stuff it had. So this bag idea and envelope idea plays well for me, and I enjoy how it looks. All right, so I hope that's clear. Now, one hint is that you want to glue this inner one on first, the burlap, whatever you're using for your center material. You want to glue it on first so that where the bags are glued close to it, they can go over. So this one is way over. This one is a little bit over. This one isn't, that one isn't. But it's different every time. And then the eyelet circles show on this side. And I tied it off here. And I left it long in case I need to tighten it because it gets loose from use. But on this side, I glued it last after I'd done all of the gel medium on this cover. And I had glued down, or I actually taped and glued this column here on the outside. Then I added this at the end. By gluing this on and taping it on, I think I only used glue on this one, and it would have been 3-in-1. It then glued the elastic down too, and the back of the eyelets are on the outside so they don't show. And even though I stitched around this on the top and bottom, and I stitched all the way across here, I went and turned down the top and bottom edges of the burlap, and then I sewed the zigzag separately onto them so that when I laid it down it looked like it continued, although it's a slightly less wide stitch. I mean, I can find a million things that I would do differently a second time, but you know what? I don't operate that way. In this world of junk journaling, I don't let myself get perfectionistic about it. It's just ridiculous to do it. It takes away from the joy. It makes me want to avoid it. And I have to be pretty perfectionistic in my work, and this is not my work. So here is where I can come to terms with doing my best and remembering with fondness when I made this and realized it was a slightly less of a width. It's just, a sign of my humanness. So there we go. I hope you'll take the same approach. Even if you sell your journals, it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to hold this against you. They're junk journals. That's what they are. And they're handmade. So please, please, lighten up on yourself. Some of the best, most seasoned junk journalers out there would agree with what I'm saying and do not send off perfect journals either. It's just not possible. Because who says what perfect is anyhow? All right, off my box. So now what I want to talk to you about is the collaging. I'm going to show you. Let's see. I'm going to show you some pictures I took. This particular piece has. I'm going to move out again. Okay, there we go. This piece I added these little guys after. So I want to show you what it looked like before I added them. Here's a picture of what it looked like. So you can see I added Christmas. Actually, I added this. Underneath this is something else. So I added that, but I don't have a picture of that. And I added cheers and this holly berries at the bottom. And this reindeer at the side. So this to me was beautiful, and I could have stayed with that and been perfectly happy. But when I went to my little bag of the smaller pieces, I really did feel like they added more interest to it. And I can't imagine having stayed with this one after seeing this one. This is a piece of washi tape. So whatever you got, stick it on. Even a little air bubble got under there. Maybe that was a fingerprint. Anyway, doesn't matter. Kind of looks like snow. And this is a picture I made of it putting the actual collaged piece onto my printer. And you can see it got a little blurry here on this tree because it was bigger than my printer. And so I had to put it, and it got blurry here too, and here as well. And I have those charms hanging out the end, and it cut off the top of the bells. So, maybe the middle part I could use. I don't really like the blur. And I also put it on best, and it came out quite a bit more quite a bit darker. Then when I took the picture with my camera and then printed out that picture, so it was a far away. I took some close-up shots with my camera. Let's see if I brought those to show you. No, I didn't. But I took close-ups as well, and I made tags out of them. So here's one that was made out of this very piece. And I folded it in a trifold, so it has a side tag, which is another piece of ephemera from the kit, which I printed at 5 by 7 instead of the size that it was. And I added one of the little tags, a little candle at the bottom, and I put some Christmas trim on the side. And I backed it with their cute little snowflake. And that tucks in the back. And then here I pull out a tag. And this is a couple more pieces from their kit. And then I added tea-dyed paper on the back and made a bow because this has another pocket in the front. So this idea is from Carol Law, from me, although Rachel does it and other people as well. So you have the back come around and it forms a pocket in the back. So this will probably be glued to a page in a journal. And then this is in the top piece that folded under. See, it's actually a trifold that you just leave open to a certain extent and you make room for tags and pockets. And this is another piece of wonderful trim, which I found, it's like from the 70s. I cleaned out some boxes that were sitting high on a shelf and I found all this cool stuff. So there you go. So you can really take pictures of your collage as you go. And then you'll have options to make more tags. This is the back. This is, again, a copy I made from the collage onto the printer. And that's pretty much all usable. It's a little different here, but it's okay. It doesn't look blurry. It just looks kind of uniquely squished. And then this is a close-up of the bottom front. So you can make the whole owl, or maybe go up to the reindeer. So here we go. So here's the bird, and here's the bottom. With the camera, it just comes out much, much lighter. I thought I had a picture of, well, I added this heart, I added Noel, and I put it on top of a box so that this striped paper was sort of covered up a little bit. And I added the Happy Christmas, and this is a piece of washi tape right here. And that's about it. Everything else was in the kit on the papers, and I just cut the papers to fit. If you remember, in part 2, I tore paper so I would have edges that I felt bordered. Looks like that might need more glue under there. Like I say, I taped, but I think I'll put some more there maybe. And and then I put a final coat of the gel medium. Now, this is the brush that I used to put the gel medium onto the area on the folder beneath. And then I laid the piece on top, and I did not put more gel medium over it as I went. I did not do that because it was enough that I had the gel medium underneath it and laid it down. You can really end up using way too much gel medium, and then what happens is the paper starts to stand up in wrinkles, and then when you're brushing the final on, it ends up ripping or wrinkling. So just put your small amount on the bottom. It may not be completely down, but get as much as you can to allow it to be completely down. And then when you add the third layer, or in the second layer, you hold it in your hand and you brush, or you put it on the side and you brush again lightly a light coat of gel medium to put it on, and then dry it completely. And when it's completely dried, and I left mine overnight, and I also put it under books, not closed but open. And you don't have the inside done yet, so you can put the books on it and they can really flatten it out for you. Then, for my last coat, I used this bigger brush, and I just did the whole thing. And again, too much is not a good thing. I could put another coat on here, and if it was going to get a lot of wear and tear, I would. I've done that for things that I carry in my purse. But, it's only going to come out seasonally, so I think it's fine the way it is. What I like about golden is that it doesn't change the color. I find that Liquitex, for me, has changed the color. And and Mod Podge, I think it's because it's a little bit wet, but I bought the Mod Podge for paper, and it's a little bit better. It's better. You just don't want to have it too wet, because the paper is, well, I printed these on regular copy paper. I think if I'd used a heavier duty paper, maybe that wouldn't have been such an issue. But I think probably a lot of you use copy paper too, so just don't get things too wet. You can always go back after it's all dried before you do your final coat, and you can stick some more stuff, gel medium or glue if you really want to, underneath the corners that might have not gotten completely gel medium. Just don't use too much water. So the other tags that I made, this tag. These are papers from the kit. This is a stamp and another stamp on a piece of book page. I love the simplicity of it. And this is from one of my copies, my printable copies. This is from one of the printables, and I just cut it out and glued it on the back, and then covered the whole thing with a book page. And I added this little label. It's just so cute. Most people aren't going to write on the tag, so I'm not really trying to accommodate the back. And I showed you the other ones. This is a stamp that's kind of hard to see unless you get it in the right light, but it's a beautiful stamp. And it shows up better in green and red. I love how misty this looks. I love this light color that came, really vintage color, that came from using the snapshot of my not yet complete printable. And that's it. I think we're done. So I hope that you have enjoyed this project. Of course, you can use other papers with it. It's, once you got the knack down, piece of cake. And just remember, so you're not surprised, if you're using the inside of your folder as the inside, which is what this is, you're going to have your ribboned edge on the inside of your completed holder. It is not going to be on the outside like mine. If you want it on the outside like mine, then you have to make the inside of your folder the outside of your folder. Collage the inside of your folder, and this will be on the inside. So my folder was red on the outside, and I wanted that for the inside. I do not recommend that you pick a patterned inside. You can line it with another file folder if it happens to be patterned, or if you don't like the color or whatever, just sew another file folder on the inside. It's not necessary for strength to do that when you are doing collaging with gel medium. This is very stiff. But if you're not collaging and you're not using gel medium, then you want to put another folder in to give it the strength that it needs to hold these items on when they do get filled with stuff. It can get kind of heavy. I've had them be really heavy. Alrighty. So have fun. Please post your projects and tag me. I'd love to see what you have. It'd be so great to see what you come up with. I imagine some will look like mine and some will not. And that's it. So until next time, I wish you well. Take care, and thank you so much for your comments and your subscriptions. All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye.